goes faster. I'm live. Yours is very dark.
Dating foreign women, Hans Comyn.
Yeah, what about it?
Especially you. It is dark. Why is my screen dark? I think it's just...
We're about to say some
there we go.
Ridiculous things, like I should not date foreign
There we go. Wow, look at that. All right. Yes, dating foreign women. Something Hans and I have a little bit of experience in. I was watching 90 Day Fiancé yesterday.
Yes, I saw some great clips.
So Sunday is like our day off. It's our day off of work. Other than that, we have 6 days of pretty intense rituals, starting with our morning swim in the ocean. But around in bed all day yesterday, and a lot of what I was watching was 90 Day. It's fascinating, man. It's fascinating and so entertaining to see, especially like gringos go abroad. And there was this one show, and it was, he was overweight, and he had kind of like a physical deformity as well.
I saw one clip.
And he was in his 50s,
yes.
And I mean, the guy was very confident. He was very I was actually pretty amazed at how he was, considering all he had to face. But he had met a Filipina online, and then he goes abroad for his chance at love. What are you laughing at?
I see the clip where he's complaining about no air.
Yeah, so I think let me say this. Let me just talk about American men. I think that there are incredible love and romance and lifestyle opportunities abroad for American men. Incredible.
Yes.
Including how they'll often be treated with much more respect and much more of a welcome in other cultures, not just by the women, but by the people. And how life can be easier and so on and so forth. And how they can find even, be more welcomed into a community and family atmosphere. There's so many different ways that a man could experience a more beautiful life.
A better match.
And find a better match with
not just for him, but for the woman also.
Yes. There are incredible things about that. However,
everyone.
It's not for everyone. And there are barriers. There are definite barriers for Western men traveling abroad, whether it's to find love or to just simply find a new place to live. And a lot of it comes from our American, conditioning. And yeah, as you said, air conditioning as well.
A lot comes from our American air conditioning.
And it's, that's actually a big factor. So this he's in the Philippines, and he goes to this girl's village in the Philippines. And he's sweating like a pig, and he's very uncomfortable. And he doesn't want to be out in the market. And she's like, this is normal. Every day. And he's like, I can't take it.
I think I got bitten by a mosquito.
Yeah. And he goes and spends the night. I think her family welcomed him to stay a couple nights with the family. And and there's, maybe it's monsoon season or maybe it was just raining, but he's just completely uncomfortable. Now I can relate to a lot of this. I've spent the night in some crazy places that were indeed very uncomfortable, where I would not want to get used to living. One of them being a recent place I stayed for 8 days was Masai Mara with my buddy Condon. And they live in elephant dung huts. And one thing that I did not expect was just the number of flies that are constantly like around if you're sitting inside or outside the hut. and they'll just like if you let them, they'll just cover your face, you know. And and you're eating, and they're on the food, and there's no way you could survive there. And I barely did, but I mean, maybe I should have guessed it since the hut's made of elephant dung, right? Elephant poopy.
I'm starting to think, surely that's there's more to there's more barriers than these physical inconveniences.
Yes, but let's talk about a few of them, because I think this is very interesting. I went and there's a shot of him bathing with the father and the girl, and I mean they got their shorts on, but I think this is very normal in the Philippines. I haven't spent enough time there to really notice, but I think one of the first things that they do is they ask you in that part of the world, like one of their greetings, like hello, is you showered yet today, or something like that, if you go to visit someone. And if you haven't, they'll invite you to, go and pour the water over your head and, cool off and freshen up. And so, like for him, it's for this American guy, this white American guy, it's like the strangest thing in the world. And I bathed like that for a long period of time in Uganda. And actually, like after a while, it was like I really looked forward to it. I don't know. I like change of scenery. I think you're also someone like this. You like the new and the different, and the unknown, the exciting, the interesting.
I remember going to Japan with Megumi, my then girlfriend, in 2000, and I think this is interesting that would be interesting for the American way also, because the American way is really like forward and very individualistic, I would say, and the Japanese way is very community based, and they have always like the other in mind. And I remember going there and like be super aware, be super careful, like not to offend.
Yes.
Because I was like,
yes.
How do I do this? And I'm super intrigued by all the ways, and I would do, and with Megumi after half a day I would say, how's it going? I'm doing good, because I was super careful. He said, well, you could be a little bit more careful on this and this and this. You're like, wow, it's just, it's so different,
Yes.
And it's fascinating to me.
Well, let's talk about that. I mean, I'll come back to the air conditioning really quick, because I think this is actually one of the biggest barriers for American guys. Go finding like a foreign kingdom or paradise or beautiful new life it's just a matter of adapting. Now when I come back to the States now, everything is freezing. You get in an Uber and it's like on max air conditioning, even if it's not summer. You walk into a store, max blasting air conditioning. It's like you've just entered the Arctic, into someone's home again. It's like, it's a real strange phenomenon if you haven't lived in it for a while. So it's, it's like drinking coffee or alcohol or smoking cigarettes or something like this. At first it doesn't taste good, it's like an acquired taste. So if you can go somewhere not
Thank you.
with the understanding it's going to be uncomfortable, and live there for a while and allow yourself to adapt and find the pleasure in the new way, there's whole new worlds that can open up. But I want to shift to this other thing that you brought up. There were Americans I want to even use this guy I was talking about who goes to the Philippines. He goes to her, and one of the things he asks her, and this is on camera, by the way, so the world is seeing this. And he's not sure about her past, because he met her on a dating site. Is she someone who sleeps with a lot of foreign guys? Like, what's her history? And she won't tell him about her past. And this is a very kind of American thing all this kind of like psychobabble and like talking about the past and talking about relationships and feelings and inquiry into like self-development and all this kind of stuff. In a lot of places, this is kind of rude, you know? But she won't go into that, so he doesn't fully trust her. So he asks her in front of the cameras to take an STD test, you know? And this is something that in many foreign cultures, not the STD test, but the shaming, the level of directness that especially Americans bring to these kind of situations is, if you want to talk about uncomfortable, it's like they're in their normal environment, then you come with the AC on max and blast it in their face, you know. No, it's worse than that. But American culture, and this is something that I was so curious about for a long time as I traveled, really trying to figure out and understand. But in some cultures, not humiliating someone in public or even bringing them any amount of shame is far more important than being honest, direct, open, this sort of thing. And as Americans, we value, and in the West generally, but especially Americans, we value like freedom of speech, speaking our truth, being direct, this sort of thing.
As a virtue.
As a virtue, yeah. And in many places, it's the thing that's going to have most people not welcome you. And have you feel like, that dude was rude. Like he was incredibly rude. So
I describe seduction as actually the counterweight to that. Like I've been trying to say it. As you picked it up, you go with the thing here. And
there's you know, hanging out with Hans is like an American being in Japan or a bull in a china shop. You know, it's like you never know what little thing that you might do is he's going to be like, don't do that.
No, I don't do that. I'm trying to like pay attention to it. Anyway,
as he sticks his finger in his
What was I saying? Forgot.
I don't know what we were talking about.
The American, the guy
speaking directly and offending.
Oh, and seduction. Like I start the book by saying that like the West is very much, everything is laid out in the name of truth, you know, open honesty, you know, and there's value to that, but there's a lot that is destroyed because of it, you know. And seduction thrives on way more the unknown, the unspoken, the not being laid out, you know, the hint upon and the suggestion and the indirect ways of communicating also. And it's so important.
And when you talk about seduction, you're not just talking about getting a woman into bed, you're talking about a way of being in the world and in life. And it also relates to this sense of aliveness that I now have as I travel other places where I'm not in America speaking English. There's a sense of invitation into aliveness that I would relate to seduction. It even has nothing to do with the women.
And it's not either or. The West will know this too. For example, if you're with a woman and it's the third date or whatever, you go home and you wanna come up and have a glass of wine, you know. Everybody knows what that means, and it's a very indirect, seductive way, you know. It's the same message as you want to come and fuck, you know. But faced with that bluntness, a woman would have to say no. And so it's just a matter of degree where some cultures are way more high context, where, like I would say, a woman's language is way more high context than a man. Where a man, a yes is usually a yes. With a woman, a yes could be a maybe and a no, you know. And in the same way, the East is way more high context than, say, the West, where the Americans, a yes is a yes, and for Japanese, a yes could be a yes or a maybe or a no, you know. And so there's a lot more going on in language and the way that people. So it's not like right or wrong. This is not right or wrong. It's just a way of like figuring that out.
Yes, I've been writing a guide lately called Secret Kingdoms. And this is the idea that there are places abroad, and a man could have one of these, where he can go and be treated like a king, feel like a king, live like a king. And but most men who travel abroad will never experience it, will never even realize it exists. You know, you'll watch a show like 90 Day Fiance and you just be like, oh, all foreign women are gold diggers and there's no way, and I couldn't do that. And it's and if that's your only experience is like an American style vacation, watching 90 Day Fiance, things like this, you will never realize the incredible world that's out there. And there was something I was gonna point to with that. Oh, when I went to the Middle East for the first time, and I lived there for a month in Kuwait, it was there's the American reality experience that I had at first, looking at things from my American point of view. And you know, someone offers you something, and like I remember I went to a store, a little store for the first time, in like the bottom floor of where we lived on the street, and I walk in and there's an Iranian shopkeeper, and you know, I'm new, and he greets me and everything, and he invites me to just take something, just as a gift. You know what I mean? And it's like, what? And I was like, okay, thank you. You know? Not realizing that this is part of the custom, and not until someone offers something like at least 3 times.
Yes.
If you accept it before then, it's rude. You are rude.
In the same story, Megumi, I told you this. I was talking about her a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago. My ex-Japanese girlfriend, when she came to the States the first time, she was greeted by her host family, and she had traveled like from Japan all this time, like 24 hours. She was super hungry, and they went home and they offered, and they said, "You want to eat something?" She tells us, I think it's so funny, "You want to eat something?" And she said, "Of course." I said no, and they only asked me once. All evening, you know, because the American way, it's almost like you ask it once, and it's almost rude to ask it again, because it would mean, the other doesn't know what they want.
Yeah.
Whereas the Japanese way is way more like, you gotta ask it a couple of times.
Yeah.
And so, but what's interesting to me is this: we could say, like, dating foreign women, it's difficult or whatever because of the cultural differences, and that's true. You know, there's so many differences. But what you also could say is there's great opportunity there, and it is difficult because we don't have the ability to learn a different way. It's so hard for us to get away from ours.
I think it's even like unknown that we could learn a different way.
Exactly.
And there are real ways.
Yes, or not even know. There's no air conditioning, and it's like that whole, like, it's so deeply ingrained. It's like, oh wow. It's like the kid yesterday. I'm talking with a kid. This is great. He sees me with the bike and he's like fascinated. And he starts talking to me in Portuguese. And I say, eu não falo português. I don't speak Portuguese. I say, I speak German, I speak Dutch, I speak French, I speak English. And he said, okay. And I say, what do you speak? And he said, I speak normal. I speak normal. Yeah, so he doesn't speak Portuguese to him. He speaks normal.
Right.
And that's how we look at things.
Yeah.
That's the American goes. He doesn't think there's an American way. This is the normal way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Yeah. And everyone else is strange. And it's not until I think that you can really begin to adopt a new way, live like the locals do, see the world like the locals do. New parts of you come alive, new parts of your expression, new parts of your experience of yourself, of the world. And it's incredible, and it's one of the reasons I can't see myself ever returning to the States to live for the long run. And it would even be difficult for me to see myself living just in one other culture for the rest of my life.
But this is an interesting thing for what we're creating with the Secret King. What you almost need to do is for someone to be in a different way so he could see his previous way. Because he can't see it from where he's at. So you got to be almost forced out of your normal way in a different way to start looking back and oh, this is how it is, you know? Yeah. When you're in the midst of it, you can't see it.
It really helps to hang out with someone who has been there and adopted different ways. And you can see them come alive in new ways as they speak a new language or go to a new place. And then you can you can begin to, I think humans learn primarily through modeling, through mentorship, through someone else. And that's how I did it.
Yeah, until you learn a new language, your language is just normal.
Let me give another example of a way that do things that can have you come alive. And I'll start it with saying, when I was in Arizona just visiting maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I met some Venezuelans who had moved to the US, and we were talking about this kind of a thing, and they were so alive about it because if they talk with most Americans, they won't understand what they're talking about. And they talked about, like, when we came to America and we went to these classes about how to live here and adapt here and stuff like this, there were like all these rules. These are the cultural rules which are invisible to Americans. And one of them that I thought was fascinating was you don't shake their hand, you don't give them a hug, you don't give them a kiss on the cheek, you don't even get extra friendly with them, a kid on the playground. Because in America, there's very much this context, like a stranger being friendly with my child. It could be a child molester, could be a kidnapper, could be is a danger to my child, a pervert or whatever.
Right.
And there's such a stigma around that we don't have, like American adults, in generally speaking, there's a level of connection and intimacy and touch and kindness and warmth that's missing between most adults and children who are not their own. And so when I went abroad, I kept running into this, and I found it was so beautiful. I remember I was in Belgium.
Of all countries.
And my buddy wanted me to come meet his Belgian friend. And so I went over to their house, and we were going over there, I think, for dinner or something. And I think the kid came and greeted me first. The kid, maybe 7, 8 years old. And he walks up to me, kindly, and just kind of put his lips in the air, and he gave me a kiss on the cheek. It's just like a cheek to cheek touch, and I was like, wow, like it was respectful. Two, just like instantly, I'm far more connected with this little boy who's made this touch than I would be with an American kid who might not even acknowledge me. If he did, he would say hello. Maybe I could shake his hand or something like that. But, then it was awkward with the father because I was trying to get the number of kisses right. And it was like, and Owen kind of told me it's one kiss is this, it's two of this, it's three of this.
It's a holy day.
And I was one too many kisses. That's what I remember. And the guy stepped back and looked at me. He's like, am I gay? Am I coming on to him? And I was like, that's when I decided, okay, I'm done with this fucking trying to get this
Maybe
right.
It was not the amount of kissing, but the fact you kissed him on the mouth.
Well, or the tongue, maybe. I don't know. It was the tongue. But I decided after that, okay, I'm going to keep my American way as far as greeting other men with kisses in foreign countries goes. Like, you get a handshake, and I'm bringing my culture to you.
A great way of doing this, I'm rating it with women, is that I announce it as I do it, because I've come across the same. I'm going to give you one kiss as I'm leading in. I went to Romania. It's as simple as this, In Belgium we kiss, and it's right to right, first kiss.
Right cheek to right cheek.
Right cheek to right cheek. In Romania it's left to left. So the first couple of times I ended up. Sometimes,
yeah.
So it's simple as that, just the other side.
This is something that's fascinating in itself. Is like all these different cultures, when they kiss, how much they kiss, what the rules are. In Italy, you'll have, I think it's a lot more common that guys will greet with a kiss. But you come to another like Latino culture, like Brazil, dude, do not go in for a kiss with a guy, man. You get your nice lights knocked out,
But what I'm seeing in this
but you do kiss the women here.
Yes. But what I do see is this. What you don't have to get it right. You have to find a way to navigate it. Like because there's so many ways of kissing a woman, for example, that I announce it, And like I announced, and that's
coming in with the tongue.
A little finger.
I'm coming in with the tongue and do circle motions to the right, then to the left, and then in and out.
But for me, that's a great way of navigating, and that has like
right.
this.
I'm just imagining how you date your.
And you say it, and you make fun of it too. Like what I said about Romanian women, I said that, and it's a way to navigate it. Because as a foreigner, you also get more like freedom to make mistakes, like in Japan.
Yes.
I noticed that. So it's not like you have to be good at it. The difficulty, like I'm saying, people think about dating foreign women as difficult because we have cultural differences. Yes. And yes, but maybe the trouble is that you don't know how to navigate these differences and how to learn it, how to bridge that gap.
This is fascinating to talk about. We gotta go into it on another call, or another podcast or something. But
no, this is it.
I think it's just like speaking a language. What's far more important is your energy and your intention. Yes. The fact that you're paying attention to it, the fact that you're respectful with it, and the fact that you're enjoying the discomfort of it, and you're playing, you're playful with it. Those things are all far more important than speaking the language correctly or
than speaking that language correctly, or trying to come with your language. Your willingness to learn the other language.
Yes. My buddy O, when I first met him, I met him at one of my ice stands, my retreats, and I remember, he came up to me on one of the breaks. He really felt close to me because he really resonated with the work. And he put his arm around me and he's like this close to my face, which was normal for him from whatever culture. And for me, it's like, dude, get out of my face. You know what I mean? I'm tolerating it. I'm like, breathe. But even those, and that's actually what I like is being in the discomfort where it's actually more connection than what you would have had in your old culture. Like in Uganda, you'd be walking down the street with a guy who's totally just a buddy, and he might take your hand and you might walk hand in hand down the dirt road for a while. And for me, it's like really uncomfortable, man. Right. It's really uncomfortable. But, and I might laugh or joke about it or whatever, but or just go along with it.
Even within the culture, like in Belgium, like I remember living in Brussels, it was all Moroccans, and they would walk. It's a very macho culture, but men would walk together and really like this, like Flemish people would only do with their lovers, and fascinating, It's just, even within a country as small as Belgium, you get different cultures and different ways, and they would the way they say hello, the way they kiss, completely different,
Yeah, and one of the things that Americans do, I see often as they go abroad, is
imperialism.
That they're typically really resistant to speaking the language like the locals speak the language. And I'm now right now I'm thinking of our mutual friend we know, Kerry, and the way he speaks Spanish, and he'll be like, "Hola, ¿cómo estás?"
Muchas gracias.
And he's not trying to like make fun of it. He's not trying to. He's just like, I'm not gonna make those weird sounds and make my face weird the way they do, and like, and if I can, like when I went to like this, for me to be in France or see people speak French and stuff, a lot of times it's like, it's like I wouldn't want to make those like or the nasally sounds or the expressions that that I might judge, oh, that's too feminine, or that looks gay, or this is that, or whatever, and like you don't how much my expression is inside of but the way that I learned how to survive inside of American culture.
Yeah, and you think yours is normal and that is abnormal. Why would I? It's too much. If you go to Italy and people talk, they just and they go like, and and you think, why? It has no real why would I do that? But that is the culture.
Yes.
You know,
and that is communicating.
That is communicating.
Doing it how they do
and
it.
Yeah, exactly. And you start talking like that. Ma che cosa fai?
Yeah. and you come alive in new ways. You become more expressed, and then you get to take that with you. And that's one of the joys of traveling to new cultures. And so I love like being in Thailand, in Brazil, places like this, because I feel ridiculous speaking not their language, but their language, how they speak their language.
Right. It's
true. It's so funny, and it's so much fun.
Even when we're in Africa, he speaks English in a different way. He speaks English in the African way. When in Uganda, when you go slow, you go like this, you know? This is
you're doing it wrong, but
when you're in a hurry, only when you're in a hurry.
Africa's another great example, especially,
But it's great. That's very interesting to step in that way and fully embrace it, you know, and not be just looking at it from your way and say, "Wow, that's strange." No.
And this is on YouTube. For example, if you're an American guy and you're curious about what it would be like to go and live here, to date women from here, and you see American guys who can speak the language fluently, and you're like, "Oh, wow, that's fluently, that there's so much more possible then." But most of these guys you'll see online, there's not like a joie de vivre. They're in it. They're not like really embodying it. They're not really embracing it.
You gotta say it.
No.
Joie de vivre.
Joie de vivre.
A joie de vivre.
Joie de vivre. Yeah. Case in point.
It's joie de vivre.
But
That's for the French. We can adapt to
I do not have as much joy speaking French as I do Portuguese, trying to speak Italian or African languages or Thai.
It's because you don't know it enough yet. It's a beautiful language.
Perhaps.
Joie de vivre.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
Don't be so.
Yes.
We're going to France.
I think I would, if I landed in a place where I really connected with the French-speaking people, and I felt like, and there was this aliveness in them that I wanted. That would, I bet that would be really fun. But I haven't had that yet.
Maybe, one of the ex-colonies, French Guiana or something.
Yeah, an African colony that's big.
Well, and a lot of African countries also, French Guiana.
Yes.
That would be good.
Yes. What were we saying just before that? Oh man, I have so much excitement about this because it's transformed me and my life.
Let's talk about it the next couple of days as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. Secret Kingdoms. If you're interested in exploring that, let us know.
Yes.